Welcome, Salena. How are you?
Hey, Glenn, how are you? I'm okay.
Yeah, it's been a really tough 9 days. Can you believe it's been 9 days? It feels like it's been 6 months.
Yeah, it's there's sometimes I wake up and like, oh, that didn't happen, right? I dreamt it, right? It couldn't have happened. Because Charlie was such a life force. The first time I met him, I think he was like 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I was just so struck by this energy and this aspirational quality he had. And one of the things that I think you've done really well and it is important to note about Charlie, he never did this for himself. This was never about him. It was always about bringing people together to be part of something bigger than self. I think a lot of people in trying to understand Charlie have missed that, but you haven't. And I think that's real. But that's a quality a lot of people don't, possess. Right? There's always an ulterior motive. There wasn't with Charlie. There never was. It was about faith and family.
Yeah, he just wanted to make the world a better place. He had his own ideas how to do that, but it was never about hogging the spotlight. He always shared the spotlight. He always shared. Didn't matter where he was. I called him for some advice on something. I don't know, last year I think, and I called him. He was in the Oval with the president. Picked up the phone. Hey, Glenn, what's happening? And I said, hey, do you have a second? He said, yeah, I'm just with the president. We're just working on some stuff. And I'm like, I'll call you back. And he's like, no. What do you need? I mean, that's the kind of guy he was. It really, yeah, it's amazing. You tweeted something. I just spent 90 minutes sitting on the sideline of a kid's flag football practice, and I don't think cable news experts or Democrats have any idea how profoundly impacted suburban moms over what happened to Charlie Kirk and how they may have, and how much they have noticed how poorly many have behaved. What did you mean by that?
So this is something that that's in my book Butler, in that after the president was shot, right? I went out and I saw people that I did not expect to see with Trump shirts on or Trump hats or put them in their yard, right? And I remember I interviewed people like that. That's in my book, and also. In my book was all these young people that kept showing up in droves to his events. And it was Trump. What happened to him? It was also Charlie. And so the other day I went to a revival. Did I tell you? I don't know if I sent that to you. I went to a revival in the city of Pittsburgh in a majority of Black historic neighborhood called the Hill District. And there were kids coming from the busloads on Sunday just to witness and to celebrate Charlie and his life, but also to celebrate their faith with a boldness that has been inspired by Charlie. But to get back to your original question, I'm sitting on the sidelines, my little grandson's flag football game, and I'm listening to these moms overhearing their conversations, and it was all about how my profession has behaved in reaction to Charlie's murder, but also how they've been invigorated and activated into. I mean, 3 of them had freedom shirts on, and I was like, whoa. Something is happening. This is very real. This is very tangible. And my profession isn't seeing it. On paper, these women should be Democrats. They're suburban. They're college educated, right? I mean, they're the demo that and they live in suburbs. They're the demo you expect Democrats for them to go towards the Democrats. And instead, they were talking about, I can't believe that he was murdered. I can't believe how they're covering this. I want to get my kids out of school. I want to homeschool them. Several of them had just gone away for the weekend because they couldn't handle the way that things were being talked about. And there is an awakening going on
There
that
is.
I don't
It's the
think,
right word, too.
I don't think my profession or Democrats understand. Just in the past 4 days, in places like Somerset, Pennsylvania, the city of Pittsburgh, Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, Hempfield, Pennsylvania, Ligonier, Pennsylvania, hundreds and hundreds of people have just been showing up in their little town squares, right? These are small Pennsylvania towns, most of them with, gazebos in the middle, right? And with just candles and just they're praying and they're, a lot of them are really, really young. And people talked about, Glenn, when you and I were growing up, right? The counterculture, that were the cool people, right? That's the counterculture. We're looking at the counterculture, and it's people of faith and purpose.
I know.
It's not the bad guys.
How do you think people are, two questions. One, I see these polls that have just recently come out that are shocking, that show young people are much more authoritarian than any of their Gen X and even Gen Z counterparts. That this new generation has been indoctrinated from the beginning, and they are starting to look at authoritarian rule. How do you square that? Do you believe those polls?
Well, it's not that I don't believe the polls. It's where is the polling coming from? Are you polling in New York City? Are you polling in L.A., Chicago? Are you polling on college campuses, which, by the way, would be the easiest way to do it if you're a pollster, right, and you want to capture a certain demographic. But that's not the experience I have had. And we have to remember, Glenn, that oftentimes what we see coming from our cultural curators, meaning big legacy media, right, corporations, institutions, academia, a lot of that is coming from the super zip codes in the country, except in the super zip codes in the country, right, where wealth and power is at the center of everything. Those places don't decide elections. Those places don't make what makes this country go and move. And so I think that if you're not polling from Somerset, Pennsylvania, then you're not getting the full breadth of understanding what is happening in this country. It was. I remember last year when writing Butler and thinking nobody is seeing what's happening. They're really not. They're not understanding what a sea change is happening in this country. And I'm standing in the exact same place again, only it's bigger. It's broader.
So I'm looking at the reaction of those on the left last week and this week to Charlie Kirk. And then I'm watching how I read a story today where Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel were literally called martyrs. And I've been in this business enough. I can read ratings. I know what advertisers, if you don't have advertising, if you're not getting sales, and you're costing more than it costs to put the show on, you're not there long. And I really believe CBS, they fired Stephen Colbert because it was costing them twice as much to produce than what they were making. That doesn't last unless you're in a communist society. The thing with Jimmy Kimmel is they were trying to find ways to get rid of him. And I think ABC saw this opportunity and was like, yep, community standards. They want him off. And so they're getting rid of him. And now Jimmy, the word is that Jimmy is really upset about this. And so he's doubling down and he's already looking for a new job. And he's got one and he's going to go, tell the public what really is going on and double down on his hatred for Trump and everything else. I see the reaction of this Jimmy Kimmel thing, and I think I can't believe the American people are buying into this and that this is helping the people on the left at all.
No,
is it?
It's not. And they're reporting this from their bubble. right? Just to use a cliche, it is a bubble. This is the same. They all talk to and see the same people all the time, and so nobody's going to tell them, oh, you're seeing this in the wrong way. Look, markets change all the time. And you know that, and I know that because we're in a business that's always fluctuating. But so are American people. Where were, think about the steel worker in the 1970s. Did anybody come rushing to save their job when it wasn't making money for the big company? No. Did any reporter plop in and say, how do you feel? Are you mad? Are you angry? No, they didn't. I'm not saying I lived it, so I know they didn't, right? But to lift up and celebrate someone who is also not meeting the moment with the ratings, and say, well, you should still have a job. Well, you know what? Those steel workers still thought they should have a job too, right? But you weren't making the money, and also more importantly, this is the thing that really bothers me. It's the affiliates that said, we're not doing this anymore. It is the affiliates. They have the most power because they're the ones that need to make money. These are stations across the middle of the country, right? Where while DC and New York don't think those people have much power, actually they turned out to have power. Not just in the election, but also in deciding what is right for our culture. And these affiliates said, yeah, we're not doing this, in particular because Kimmel wasn't even going to apologize the next day. He wanted to come out and clarify. That's not an apology.
I want to ask you to hold for just 60 seconds. I have to do a commercial, and then I'm going to come back. And I want to ask you if this lasts, if what's happening, especially with this awakening, we felt this, for 10 days, 12 days after 9/11. And then things went horribly awry, and we stopped feeling this way. We started to divide again, and then we did things like the Patriot Act. I want to ask you what is different this time, if anything, or what we should be prepared for. We're talking to Salena Zito. She wrote on September 15th, The Awakening Few See Coming, and it's a great article that you can find online. But she's talking about how people are coming to church by the busloads and that there is an awakening that is here, a revival, if you will. Is it real this time? Is it lasting this time? And what should we look for in the future? What are the pitfalls so we don't do what we did after September 11th?
So what is different about this moment, and, we did come together after September 11th.
We did.
And to your point, it was also very brief. It was almost shocking to the system how brief it was. But what wasn't a large part of coming together, it was very patriotic, but it didn't have a component of faith and purpose. We forgot to put that in there. And I think that's what's very different about what we're seeing today. I've been chronicling for the past couple of years how faith has expanded. I see it. I've done several stories on it, in particular among young people, about my little country church in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania, has gone from, maybe half full 2 years ago to out the door every Sunday. And it's something that has not been, and I think a catalyst last year was when the president was shot, right? That was a big thing. But Charlie was such an influence. I feel like people don't understand how profoundly he influenced our young people. And that's where our energy and power are coming from. And that's why I think this time is very, very different. I remember so vividly, Glenn, you at that Restoring America event where were we? We were in
Lincoln
DC.
Memorial. Yeah, Lincoln Memorial. Yeah, Restoring Honor.
It still gives me chills every time I think about you talking about, hey, there could be an 8 or 9 year old kid here that's the next George Washington.
Yeah,
and
I think Charlie was.
Yes. But there are other young people out there.
Oh,
and we have
this
to
event
them.
created thousands of those.
Yes. They're everywhere, and they're bold with their faith. That's the difference. Yeah. We weren't bold with our faith. Whatever your faith is, whatever you practice, it actually doesn't even matter. Whatever your practice is, be bold with your faith. That's what was missing after 9/11.